Engage Vernon.
I'm your new wingman.
We will win! Because we have...
Welcome to CommLink.
Hello and welcome back to another edition of the CommLink Podcast. I'm Stubb, and as always, I'm joined by the very handsome, my co-host, Sylvius!
He does this every time. What's up, guys?
What's up?
And we've got some very special guests. Very special guest here for our milestone episode, 25. Can you believe we've done 25 of these? We have ForScience in the house.
Cool, 25. I feel special.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Congratulations.
So thank you. So we have Bonsai and we have Ursus with us.
Ooh.
Thank you for being here.
Of course.
Hello.
And I guess we'll dive right into this. Let's start off with some brief introductions, right? So who are you? How did you get into Star Citizen? What was your draw into the game? All that good stuff.
Yeah, sure. I'm Bonds. At least everybody that knows me calls me Bonds. My in-game name is the Bonsai Ronin. It's long, annoying. So Bonds is way easier for me. Yeah, I don't know. I got into Star Citizen, literally just stumbled across the videos on YouTube years ago. And I think like most people, you know, a lot of people I know that play now, you know, watch a video here, watch a video there, but everybody has that moment when they go, I have to get into this. And for me, it was right before Microtech came out. I remember the promotional video that I finally said, I have to get into this game. And it was the one where Microtech was about to go live, and they were showing the guy was walking and wiping the ice off his visor, and he was walking up to a rover that was under a tarp and it was blowing in the wind. And I don't know what it was about that video, but it just, it hooked me. So yeah, after that I got in, and here we are, 4.5, 5 years later. And I'm still a daily player at this point. So yeah, that's what got me into it.
So the marketing team got you.
Yeah, they got me. Yeah, for sure.
With the fidelity and the immersion.
They are good. They are very good.
For me, I'd say, it was, I guess, a two-prong thing where my friends were actually playing it, and they were showing me around, like how I think someone showed them the Hammerhead. And I'm like, wow, this thing is huge. This thing is amazing. I want to play this game.
Yeah.
But also, I saw this video on YouTube by Bed Bananas, and I'm like, this guy's having a blast with his friends, going to the Citizen or the Invictus, and I'm like, I want that. I want to do that. I want to fly around in the ship and have a blast, you know. So that's pretty much all it was for me.
Very nice. Now, were you guys familiar with any of Chris Roberts' previous games before Star Citizen?
Me, no, not at all.
Okay.
And I might break your hearts here a little bit, and people are always shocked when I tell them I'm not actually a big sci-fi guy at all, honestly. Which is kind of weird, spending years building an org like this and doing all the stuff we do in Star Citizen. I was a survival game guy. I was, thousands of hours into DayZ and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I stumbled onto the Star Citizen videos and all that sort of thing. And the thing that always appealed to me about DayZ and other games like that, DayZ specifically, there's not a lot of, on the surface, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on, right? They give you a world, they give you mechanics, and then they plop you in there and you do whatever you want. It's a sandbox, for you to do what you want. So any games that are kind of like that appeal to me. And then like DayZ, the more you play, you start to realize like there's a lot more going on here than what, it seems like on the surface. And Star Citizen was kind of the same in the beginning. So that's kind of what, turned me onto the game and the whole thing. I've since turned into quite a sci-fi nerd. Like I'm arguing with my wife about spaceships and showing my son the new guns I just put on, and so that's how I got into it, really.
We reference DayZ fairly often on our podcast here because we both put a pretty good amount of hours in DayZ too, and
yeah, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah,
there's
really
some blatant similarities that I don't think everybody would notice right away between the two games, but mainly the sandbox part. and the erring on the side of realism. I say realism with quotes because we're in spaceships or whatever, but there is a grittiness to it, that both games kind of have that I like.
They're both very good at immersion, which I think is different, a little different than realism.
Yeah, for
they,
sure.
They definitely plop you in this world, and it's kind of just here you go, and you kind of have to figure it out yourself.
I've always said too, there's something about these kind of games, DayZ, Star Citizen, whatever. They feel like they're games for a specific kind of player. Star Citizen is changing a little bit now. It's starting to be more of a mass appeal type thing. They're working on that, but yeah, both of those games, like what happens is if you have a game like DayZ or Star Citizen, not everybody has played it, not everybody has heard of it, but
Right.
the people that do play it are diehard fans, right? So like if you have a game like Call of Duty, everybody's tried it, everybody's heard of it, but you don't have those diehard fans like you would in DayZ or Star Citizen. So to me, those are two major camps of game development. You have the mass appeal game that everybody knows and everybody kind of likes and it's good. And then you have the one that's like, it's for a very specific kind of player, but, and not that many people have played it. Not that many people even enjoy it, but the people that do are diehard fans,
Yeah, for sure. There's so much passion in the fan base, and that can be a double-edged sword sometimes, right? You can be really happy with the game or very frustrated with it. And I feel like sometimes I'm on a bit of a pendulum swing myself with that update to update.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm definitely with you.
And Urs, what kind of games were you playing before Star Citizen?
Before Star Citizen, I was playing a bunch of like other games, more particularly Rust. So I came from more of the PvP side. Well, I guess DayZ also has PvP, right?
Yeah.
I haven't played it a lot myself, but I did a lot of content with that with friends. And then, like I said, I started watching a lot of Star Citizen videos, and that's kind of like what got the ball rolling for me. And eventually, I believe we met through, was it HubNet, right? Buns?
Yeah, that's how me and you met. Yep.
Yeah, that's how we met. And like I saw their video, and I asked them, "Hey, could I like do stuff with you guys?" And they're like, "Yeah, join our Discord." And then Buns like, you could voice our you could be a character in our series. And I'm like,
are you guys familiar with HubNet at all?
I'm not.
No. So have you? HubNet is the two guys I know the best from that run HubNet are Natronics and Oliver Zark. Oliver Zark, I don't know if you've ever seen Zark Media. He's the Star Citizen news reporter. He has his channel. They do Machinima too. And then Natronics is from the Overclock series, the Machinima series. If you guys haven't checked it out, or anybody that happens to watch this, take some time and go check out Oliver Zark and Overclocked at EE Studios. It's like the most it's movie quality stuff done in Star Citizen. And that's how I found Ursus, because he, is a bit of a voice actor and he does all that kind of stuff. So he was there and I was there for making videos. And that's how we met.
So was For Science formed before you guys met, or was that kind of after the fact?
Yeah, it was before.
Okay. Yeah, I joined before, or when it was, long before it was, or when it was made. So, what was it, like a year in? I've been with you guys for 2 years now, right, Buns?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
The years keep going by. Time is, what do they say? Time is a flat circle. It just keeps going.
That's right.
But yeah, that's how we met. That's how I got into more of the community in Star Citizen. So, yeah.
So what were the origins of For Science? How did the ball get rolling on starting up the org to begin with?
I was searching for a group that didn't exist, I think. I was a part of other orgs, some of these massive orgs that have thousands of members. And I think when you're a new player, like I was at the time, those kind of orgs are easy to find. Everybody knows them. Everybody's heard their names. I won't bring up any names here, but I was in a couple different orgs, And because I wanted this, so I wanted, like Ursus, I wanted to multi-crew a Hammerhead. I wanted to get 7-8 guys together. That's what I wanted to do, you know. So I joined all these groups, and I just wasn't. It wasn't fun. I wasn't enjoying it. I found out that, you know, when you're in an org that has 10,000 members or whatever, you're almost always in a server with org mates, pretty much always. But you don't know who they are. They don't know who you are, and that was kind of like the thing for me. So I left one group, and then you end up, there's a couple different kinds of orgs out there. We call ourselves the non-org org, right? So you have orgs out there that are kind of just fan clubs for a creator, which is fine, and that's cool. If you're a fan of somebody, you could join their org. And then you have other ones that are just like some guy just wants to be the boss of some people, and he puts a little group together or whatever. So I was like, I don't know. I want to have a group where we're all kind of treated the same. Like, even if you check our Discord, like it doesn't say Bonds owner. It doesn't say Lord Supreme Bonds. It says Bonds the founder, you know? I just started the thing, and it kind of belongs to everybody who's in there. You know what I mean? Yeah, I just wanted to have a group that was fun to play with, and we multi-crewed a lot and did all that kind of stuff. And same rules applied to everybody, including myself, that sort of thing. So yeah, one day I was playing with a guy. I met a guy randomly. I had a 600i, and I had to, I didn't have to. I was experimenting like ForScience does. I was trying to get a Merlin into the cargo area of a 600i, and I realized I couldn't do it alone. I'm down there. Somebody had to push the button while I'm in the ship or whatever. So I asked randomly in chat, and this guy, Cage, came along, and then me and him played together for a week or so. And we kept just testing things, and we kept saying every day we would play, look, let's just try it for science, you know, for science. And then a week later, I was like, well, we should just start a group and call it For Science, because this is what we're saying every night with everything we do, you know? And that's pretty much that's the genesis of For Science. And that's how it started, with 2 guys or whatever. And then me and him played a lot. We grew a little bit. We had some people join. Some people get the idea and join. Some people join and don't really get it and kind of disappear. He's in the Army, so he hasn't really been around a lot the last 2 years or so. But that's kind of how the whole thing started. And then also, as it, you know, grows, we like the idea of slow growth. Like, we don't just want to be popular for the sake of being popular. So as we slowly grow, we're kind of figuring out what it is together, I guess, you know. Like I said, the non-org org. So like, if you're not having a good time in orgs, For Science might be for you.
About how many members do you have?
It's hard to tell.
Right.
We don't really use
fluctuates
Spectrum.
on a daily basis.
Yeah, people come and go. Our big thing is like, we don't have rules about joining. You have to do this. You have to be that. You can't be in groups. You can join us and be the owner of a different org, or even one of our Discord moderators owns a security org, and like, so yeah, people kind of come and go. We don't really use Spectrum, so on Spectrum, I believe it's like 280 or something like that. But our Discord is at like 540 or somewhere in there.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's more of like, our Discord is more of like a community hub. Like, we have lots of different orgs and groups in there together. So yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, to be honest, who is waving the For Science flag out
Less
there.
toxic Spectrum.
Yeah. I don't really use Spectrum at all. So
Yeah.
it's hard to tell the actual the number of people that are in the group. But everybody's welcome to wave the flag should they like.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, it sounds like an org that's kind of for everybody. And that's one of the things that, well, one, it's, you know, Star Citizen doesn't really support organizations right now outside of what you were talking about, Spectrum, where, you know, you have a members list, but that's about as far as it goes. When you're in the game with people, you don't really know who's part of what org, or there's no in-game organization chat or anything like that. So that's one thing that's kind of put me off of joining an org. But also, like, you know, just like it sounds like yours is much more casual, and like, you know, people come and go, and it's not like, oh, you join this org and now you have to dedicate all your time to trying to show up and be there and be present and stuff. But something much more casual like that is kind of more my speed.
Yeah, we're the ultimate casual org, where I played pretty much daily. But even some of our management members might not even log in for a month or two, and it's fine with us. I look at, I'm a father of two. My daughter's about to get her license. Like I work a physical labor job. I work a lot. By the time I get down in front of my computer, I just want to goof off and have a good time, But building a small community of like-minded people like this, you got to have some rules, which I kind of find actually interesting, right? So one of our main rules is we don't talk politics at all. We don't talk religion at all. No ideology, none of that. Like in our rules, it literally says like for science is a break from all these type of things. So it's kind of a good way for people to get together that wouldn't talk otherwise and don't even know that much about each other, but they can play together for a year in our Discord, become the best of friends, and not even know that on the streets they should hate each other or
Right.
whatever nonsense, So in a weird way, For Science itself is an experiment. It's kind of a social experiment, pseudo social experiment on its own too. So that's kind of the idea behind it. Just
Yeah,
hang out and have fun.
I love that philosophy because I think sometimes people somehow forget video games are supposed to be an escape, right?
Absolutely.
If I'm playing games, I don't want to talk. Okay, let's talk about Trump. Let's talk about Biden or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's just have a good time.
If we're not talking about the Emperor, I don't want to hear anything about politics.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I
Yeah.
love the attitude of like embracing slow growth because I've not been in a big org in Star Citizen, but I have joined, really large guilds and like other MMOs out there.
Mhm.
And like, for example, sometimes I still play, I was about to say Star Wars Galaxies, but Star Wars The Old Republic. And I've got a couple characters in major guilds, but it's literally just for an XP boost because they're
Yeah.
so, I'm sure there's plenty of good people in there, but they're so impersonal because there's just so many members and they're all doing their own things. And like everybody's, I don't know, everybody feels, even though it's a huge group, everybody still feels
It's
very
all
disconnected.
detached, yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I like
Absolutely.
that For Science has a bit more of a personal approach.
Originally, before we got to 500 Discord members, one of the ideas was that everybody should, at least peripherally know everybody else. Like I have played with pretty much every single person that's ever come through our Discord. And, a lot of people quit. We have had to kick people. It happens. But the 1,000 or so people that have come through our Discord, I've probably played with every single one, at least one night or a couple hours or something like that. So yeah, the idea was like, it's those big groups are great and stuff, but a lot of people join them just to click the button. You'll see like some people will be a part of all the major orgs, you know what I mean? Just to do
Yeah.
it or whatever. So yeah, it's just a social spot to hang out and play the game we like,
Yeah, love that. And so for me, when I guess For Science first started to pop up in my feeds, it was on Twitter. And we had a couple brief interactions, but my first actual in-game encounter with For Science, at least that I know of, unless I just randomly came across members,
Here we
was an event that you guys ran last week or last
okay.
weekend. Yeah, no, it's good. It's positive.
I thought you were gonna say we railgunned you or something.
Yeah, we
did.
No. But it was the Survival Island Combat for a Cause event that you guys hosted.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, so that was the first event of yours that I've taken part in, and the first community event in general that I've taken part in, other than like the actual in-game stuff like Xenothreat or whatever.
Sure,
but as far as a player ran event, and it was so much fun. And I think before we talk about that specific event, I do want to kind of bring up something that you mentioned off the air before we started to record, that you guys run events all the time.
Yeah.
Pretty much every weekend, right?
We do. We actually have an event partnership with r/Star Citizen. I don't know if you guys are familiar. I mean, I think everybody's familiar with r/Star Citizens Discord. There's 120,000 citizens in there. So we have an event partnership with them where, sometimes a couple times a month we'll throw an event for them, host it there, and just have people from their community join. But the lion's share of the events we've done have just been in our Discord with our group or you know, it might pull a random person out of general chat from the server or whatever. But yeah, ever since we started For Science and we had more than 10 people, we've been trying to do some kind of event or whatever you could call an event. Sometimes as little as 6 people will come to one. Sometimes as many as 30, 40 people will show up. And then over the years, we've kind of we've come up with a list of events. I don't know what the exact number is, but to exaggerate a little bit, we'll say there's probably about 20 events that we do. And each one we kind of tweak to make them work and run smoothly. And you're constantly kind of fighting against the game too. The game is a hard thing to throw these kind of events in. It's a hard game to do that. But pretty much almost every Saturday for over 3 years, amounting to hundreds of in-game events, you know, some very small, some very large. But for me, for about a year and a half there, that was the only time I'd even play Star Citizen, is when we were holding one of these events. And I really love it. And a lot of people love it. A lot of people that join our Discord just come just to do these events, you know. Some people I know won't play at all except for when we're having an event, and they'll show up and come hang out. But yeah, that's pretty much mostly what For Science does, is the events. We do some machinima, and we do some little like adventure style gameplay too, but the bulk of what we are known for and what we bring people together for is our events that we hold.
And are they a mix of both FPS and ship combat events?
Yeah. We've been leaning over the past year. We've definitely been leaning harder on FPS events because it's much easier to have random people pick up and play FPS. So we would have a lot of ship, like we had one just called Starter Ship Showdown, where we just take on a server and you can only bring a ship that costs $45 or less. And then we might have 20 Auroras and like 8 Mustangs and a couple Pisces, and we're coming after you, you know. Or we'll get bounties and let bounty hunters come after us, and then when they come out of Quantum, yeah, there's just a wall of Auroras or whatever, you know. But those events, I found it's harder for just like the super casual player to enjoy as much. So we've been leaning harder on the FPS, especially since FPS has been getting a little bit better in game. There's more to it now.
Oh yeah.
And with the FPS, the cool thing about it is, all the new locations that have been added. There's so many cool places to fight that don't have missions. Like take Icebreaker, for example. We have like 4 or 5 different events we do just at Icebreaker in different areas on Icebreaker. And it's such a cool place, and there's nothing to do on the ground there. So, yeah, that's why we've been leaning towards that a little more lately, you know?
Yeah, well, that's, you know, part of the beauty of Star Citizen is that sandbox element where you can get creative and create your own gameplay.
Yeah, I've had quite a few people say, come to one of our events or see one of our event videos and go, I didn't even know this place existed. Like if you do the race at Icebreaker, you fly over it really fast. You don't realize there's a whole barge full of shipping containers that's perfect for like an FPS map. It's absolutely perfect. And we do our Capture the Flag event there. And every time somebody comes that's never seen it, they're like, I had no idea this was even here, you know? So, yeah, we're trying to explore all the nooks and crannies, and yeah, that's kind of the idea.
I need to get in on a Capture the Flag. I've not played CTF in a game in so long. Oh my God. I love that game type though.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. The flag is a Pico, by the way. One team has a regular Pico and the other team has a Pico with a snowboard. So you know whose is whose. And one of the rules is once you pick up the Pico, you can't store it. You have to hold it in your hands and your team has to protect you as you run.
Run back
So
with it, yep.
yeah, so over time, we've kind of like honed each one of these events to make the most sense and make them run smoothly or whatever. Lately, it's been kind of tough. It hasn't been since about the last year that griefers have really started to like hone in on what we're doing. So some of our events have to kind of be changed to avoid that. Some of our events are just in space, which they won't be able to find you out there. But like those location-based ones, we're at the point now where pretty much any location-based event we have, griefers will show up and try to end it, ruin it, whatever, you know. But like I said, I like the fact that people can play the game however they choose, which brings me to the charity event, which Dig Your Grief, which we can get there when we get there. So I'll explain my feelings on the whole griefing aspect of that particular event when we get there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of the perfect segue to start to talk about the Survival Island event, though, because griefers did show up, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, that was my first time doing partaking in a community event, my first time playing with some of you guys, and it was so much fun. But there was that issue of they go by GrieferNet, is that correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
my understanding is there's a few different groups. Um, I don't have time for it, to be honest, so I don't look into it that much. But we
Yeah.
do have guys in the group that try to watch our back, and they look into it more. So my general understanding is there are several different groups. The big one is GrieferNet, I think. I think a lot of them just call themselves GrieferNet. I think you might have one guy who's just a jerk and comes bombs you and just say GrieferNet, yeah, and fly away or whatever. So I don't really know how the whole thing works, but more power to him. I think that's how it works, though. I don't know.
Bless them.
Yeah.
So how did the idea for the Survival Island event come about? What were the origins of that?
Oh, so I could fill you guys in with that. So like I said before, I started playing Rust, right? So when I played the Rust, there was a lot of content creator driven charity events. So I kind of took a piece out of that and I saw this event and I'm like, we could have something here, and I threw that at Bonds here, and he's like, let's try it out. So we did like two other island events before.
Yeah, this is our third one.
So, and then we just kind of like spitballed everything together, and that's pretty much how like it came to be. So for the charity, we kind of decided like, shit, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it just seems like the animal shelter seemed like the perfect charity,
Yeah.
'cause,
So yes, that's what I want.
everybody
to say.
has pets, right? Everybody loves animals.
So what I wanted to say about that charity is that was the only one that I looked at that wasn't like because I've heard bad things about PETA. I don't know if you guys ever knew anything about them.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
fuck Peter.
But, yeah, PETA's they're like, I've heard stories where they're like come up to like some people's houses, take their dogs, and they'll like euthanize them, and I'm like,
Yeah.
what? It's crazy. So I'm like, I'm not gonna go with them. I did want something that was for the pets, So Best Friends Animal Society seemed like the best choice for that. And that's pretty much, I want to say how it, from what I'm remembering, is how it came to be. So,
and the thing is too is Ursus here runs our Twitch channel. So, I'm old. I'm out of touch. He knows he knows who a lot of the streamers are and a lot of the content creators and stuff like that. So he reached out to some of them, and a couple of them were like, "Yeah, we'd like to help with that."
yeah.
And then we're like, well, screw it. Let's just invite a bunch of people. Let's see how it goes, And that's kind of how it went together. Since we have done this event before, and a lot of people were really big fans of this particular event, we said, well, this seems like the event we should do the charity for. And that was kind of the idea of how it came together.
Yeah, and for anybody that missed the event, essentially what you guys set up was a battle royale, right? So there's
Hunger Games, yeah.
Hunger Games, yeah. You're getting a bunch of people together, and we only have flight suits and our helmets on. We don't come attached with med pens. There's no weapons. You drop us off into the island, and I believe you gave us about 10 minutes or so to go around and try to loot boxes and get geared up. I was lucky enough to eventually find a pistol myself, but all the same, you're going in pretty much naked.
Pretty much, yes.
And it's last Star Citizen standing, right? Is the winner.
You could see the DayZ roots there, right?
Winner, chicken dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only have what you can find, and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was so much fun. Like the idea of capturing that sort of energy, that battle royale or that DayZ energy and Star Citizen in that way, where you're starting with nothing. Mm-hmm. It was just a great time.
I noticed on YouTube too that what do they call those videos where you start with nothing?
Zero to hero.
Zero to hero. I noticed that those videos always do really well, and so people really like that idea. So I was like, well, we could just make that a gameplay loop. You know what I mean? Like people really seem to like it, making an actual gameplay loop that we can kind of like watch. The thing that kind of stinks about the charity event was, since we had threats from the griefer groups, and we knew they were coming because so many streamers were coming, well-known streamers that everybody, griefers kind of follow them around anyway for whatever reason. So we kind of had to think on our feet and change the way the event works. So you
Last
didn't really,
minute,
you didn't really experience the full thing, which is kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
Normally what we would do is we have our team goes there and they prep the island with loot boxes, which, let me add, with the new patch, it was very hard to get those loot
We're
boxes
having so
ready.
much trouble with that.
I was saying that the new patch got us way worse than any griefer group ever could
Oh,
have.
yeah.
They got us good. But so we would have a team go prep the island with boxes. We hide boxes at points of interest or tops of mountains, somewhere where you might want to travel along the beach where you could find them. You might find a box that has a pistol with a mag with 2 bullets in it. You might find one that has a Pico in it. You might find one that has a FS9, but a mag for a P4, things like
Mhm.
that. We try to make it random and we try to make it tough. But then we would drop all the survivors around the beach, and then we would have a bell we ring. And when we ring the bell, everybody runs into the island, So we couldn't set it up like that because we were being attacked during that part. Also, we would have a ship that flies around over the island and throws loot boxes out. So if you're running around on the island and you see a Hercules fly over, if it drops flares, a loot box is coming down, right? So the idea is it draws the players towards the loot box. So towards the end of the event, I don't know if you were there watching towards the end or whatever, people, when there's 2 people left on that huge island, they spread out a lot. So we have a system to kind of draw them into one area,
Yeah.
which we kind of just, for this one, we had to scrap all that because it was a constant fighting going on the whole time. So
How many, you guys, I think I heard during the broadcast, it was like 100, close to 100 boxes on the island.
yeah,
How
yeah,
many?
usually there's about 100 on the island and 100 on the loot dropship. And the only reason we even do that many is because it's a big island and it could be hard to find them. So we try to just throw clumps of boxes out,
How many
make
people
sure
does
there's
it?
plenty.
How many people does it take to do something like that, especially with fighting bugs and the game itself?
Just 2, me and
all,
Urs.
you guys
Yeah.
did that all by
Wow.
yourself.
Yeah, we do have help from other guys and stuff, but the lion's share of it is just me and Urs hanging out.
Yeah,
bullshitting, loading boxes.
For this event, it was going to be 2 other people, obviously, because I was going to be the host,
Yeah.
and Bonds was going to be out there recording down on the ground. But yeah, that's pretty much how you before the previous events. That's how we did it.
Yeah, we used to
Just
throw all
two
the
of us.
boxes on the ship, and then we would have one big box with all the loot in it, and then all the 1 SEO boxes would all be snapped to the grid on the ship, and then we could all just go around grabbing loot and loading boxes. For this patch, we were having a problem with boxes and loot disappearing when you snap them to the grid, if you store your ship or if you crash or whatever. So we had to just load them in your inventory, and then right before we were about to bring all the contestants to the island, we had to just load the ship real quick and go, with the griefers outside the hangar waiting for us, with them
Yeah.
bombing the island. So you had to take away some variables to simplify it, and the less points of failure, the smoother it can go. So yeah, we had to take some of that out, but at least everybody had fun and we raised money.
That's impressive because I was able to catch a little bit of the event, and the way you guys organized it, especially with all the like streamers and everything, that was impressive, especially for 2 people. I was like, wow, they must have a team of at least 5-10 guys.
Yeah.
Just trying to get the boxes together and herd everybody into the same location. So that's awesome that you guys are doing it all by yourself.
We do have other people that help it with stuff.
We do, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say our management team is 5 or 6 people or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but for the most part, we'll just be like, okay, we need somebody to fly the Valkyrie. Hey, can you fly the Valkyrie? Yeah, okay. Then we need somebody to fly the loot ship. Can you fly the loot ship? Okay, yeah. And then we kind of just work it like that. And the thing is, a lot of the guys in our management team and just people in ForScience, they like to work on these things together. So during the week, we might just hang out and, play the game casually, and we'll just spitball ideas for events and things like that and kind of work it out. So when everybody gets along and everybody's kind of hanging out just to have fun, it's so much easier to be creative and think of solutions to problems that you might have and think on your feet, when everybody's just goofing off and having a good time instead of being so serious all the time.
Was that your first charity event? You guys said you do events almost every week, but was that the first charity one?
First charity event, yes.
It was pretty successful for the first one, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It was all Ursus's idea too, doing a charity. I never would have thought of that, it was one of the things too, where we've done so many of them for our own personal fun over the years that it was cool to be like, I have a dog. I bought my son, for Christmas, and he was a quote rescue dog. They found him as a puppy, a 6-week-old puppy, in a cooler in the woods that somebody just threw out, because he was like a sick dog, and they got rid of him or whatever. So when he first brought up the charity idea to me, and then we started talking about shelters and stuff, I started thinking of this lady that ran a very small shelter, and I was like, how could we donate to her somehow? And then I was like, and I actually talked to her, and I'm like, it can't just be like, hey, donate to this random lady you guys have never heard of, But that's how we found the best friends. They're actually the world's largest no-kill shelter. So they're very well known, very reputable, and they actually talked to us about the event and gave us links.
And they're all over the United States too.
All over the United States, yeah. So it was just a really cool group to work with and be able to send them a couple grand, which the links are all still open. You can still donate, by the way.
And we'll have that in the video description for this episode as well.
Cool.
But I wanted to bring up the success. So you set a goal for $1,000 to be raised for the Best Friends Animal Society. Yeah. And I just pulled up the Tiltify again that you ran the fundraiser through. Mm-hmm. And currently it is sitting, and keep in mind, 1,000 was the goal. $1,821. You nearly doubled the goal so far, and it's still open.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really nice.
Incredible.
It actually, the goal was, we completed the goal before we even launched out of the hangar for the event. Somebody notified us that we hit the goal already. I'm like, we didn't start yet. Like, okay, that's
that was one of the funniest things ever. It was just everybody talking in the Valkyrie. And we're like, hey, we already made the goal.
And then everybody goes, hooray. Yeah. It's just really sweet of people to do that, which, again, it brings me back to these griefer groups. They're it's very hard to get a grasp on what they are and what they do and what they represent. Cause if I understand correctly, some of them actually donated. They attacked us. It seemed like they wanted to end the event. And then they sent us some money to buy dog food for these places. So it's like, I don't know. I have mixed emotions on the whole thing, I guess.
Yeah. It's all very frustrating.
Yeah. It's, if you don't mind me just kind of talking about that for a moment.
Sure.
The griefer groups, and I've talked to people about this before, and it makes sense. It's the game. I've always said the gameplay loop you want to do is the gameplay loop you should be allowed to do. If you want to play an in-game terrorist, you're more than welcome to do that. The problem we always had with griefers was, like, say if we're holding an event and they come to try and stop our event, even if we stop them and we win the fight, they'll just go respawn and come back again, and they won't stop coming until you quit, until you go, this isn't going to work, I give up or whatever. But for this particular event, what it seems like happened, now I wasn't on the ground the whole time, but from what everybody kind of said all together in our security team, it seemed like, they came and they bombed the island before we even had our guests on the island, to be honest. So they came and they bombed the island, and they raised hell like they do just to, so they could save face and show that they did their thing or whatever. And then they kind of backed off and let us do our event and then sent some money in. And so on one hand, it's like, you guys are assholes. On the other hand, it's like, you griefed us in probably the nicest way you could have griefed us. And I've always said, like, if you're trying to engage in gameplay with us, I don't care what you do. You know what I mean? I don't care if you attack us, whatever. But if you're just trying to ruin my good time, then I'm upset. I don't have a lot of free time to play, if you're just trying to waste my time. But it seems like for this particular event, probably because it was for a good cause and everybody has pets, it seemed like, they did their thing. And then they kind of backed off a little bit to let us do our thing and raise the money and then threw some money. And so, like, to me, I've had arguments with not arguments, have had heated discussions with people recently about what they did, but it's like, I'm perfectly fine and happy with the way it went and the way they handled what they do and the way they let us do what we do. It was actually kind of nice, to be honest. So my personal stand on it right now is, hey, good for you guys. That was nice. You guys are okay with ForScience as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. And
I think it was funny that sorry, if real quick.
go ahead,
I thought it was funny that as soon as we got in the island, it wasn't even them who took us out. We took ourselves out.
we do just fine at killing ourselves. We don't need your help. We'll do it.
Yeah, we fucking blew up in the Valkyrie.
Yeah, the Valkyrie full of streamers. I think what happened was there was how many people were on the Valkyrie? Like 25 people?
There was a lot of people in there.
So as we were getting close to the island and there's a little bit of fighting in the sky, so we're trying to come in quick and land and get everybody out. There was a lot of players running around and getting antsy. And I think somebody might have desynced into the wall because we watched the footage back from a bunch of different angles and the Valkyrie is just flying and just explodes. So, and it's funny because all the griefers in chat started yelling, GrieferNet wins. Here's a win for GrieferNet. It's like, we killed ourselves. We can kill ourselves just fine,
Thank you very much.
I think it's been happening a lot this patch is people just randomly exploding too due to desync or whatever else is going on.
Yeah, well, just yesterday I was going into a hangar and I wasn't even going that fast. I just boop and exploded.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's another thing. Like, hats off to you guys for putting on events as often as you do because the game itself is just so hard to manage. Between bugs and fighting the game itself and whatever else is going on, so herding people into a location just to have some fun can sometimes be the hardest thing to do.
I do feel like a lot of what ForScience does is like I always say to new players a lot that like there's a lot of keybinds, there's a lot of mechanics, there's a lot to learn to play Star Citizen. The other half is learning how to just deal with bugs and glitches and having people around you that have dealt with them all. So like if you have a problem, just reach out to us. We've dealt with pretty much everything at one point or another. So the events are kind of like that, where ForScience kind of specializes in like thinking on your feet. Well, like, okay, something went wrong. Like the last time we did the Survival Island event, we 30K'd. We set up the entire island, had all of our loot on the island and a 30K, and we lost everything. And so now we have 20 people trying to play. So we real quick on the fly came up with another event, slapped it together and went and did that event. So that's kind of like where we specialize in is like, we know we'll figure out how to keep the ball rolling and keep the fun coming in one way or another, no matter what the game throws at us,
Yeah. I've been sitting here thinking about like the griefer interaction within the event. And I don't know how far away we are if the day will ever come. Probably not. Where private PU servers are a thing, but it would be nice. And I'm no dev, I'm no programmer. I've said that 1,000 times before on this podcast. Well, maybe criticizing some of the decisions that CIG make. But all the same, when it comes to the events like this, where it's for a good cause and you're trying to make it run as smoothly as possible, it would be nice if there was some way for CIG to hook people up with a private server, and you have to have like a pass key or something to get into the server, just to add that barrier between people that are trying to partake in the event and help out with the cause and the troublemakers, keep them out of things. I don't know, it would be nice to see.
I would say for a charity event like this one, I would like that. And I was told, if you can get a big enough party and you can happen to, I don't know how it works. Like I'm a tech dummy myself. Would they spool up a new shard for you to go into? Like, will you have your own server if you have a 100-person party? I don't know. We had a 60-person party. So, but for a charity event like this, I think a private server would be cool. But for our regular events that we do with just our community or our open events, I kind of wouldn't want that. I kind of like the idea that anything can happen. You know what I mean? I like the emergent gameplay is the best gameplay, if you ask me. Just what happens when we try to do this. Like we have one we call It's Just Destruction Derby. When we don't feel like planning anything, we go to a crater and we crash tanks into each other. And it sounds dumb and it sounds simple, but it's the most fun. It's so much more fun than you can even imagine, actually. Everybody has a blast with that event. So, but we've been attacked doing that. We've had random people sneak onto our vehicles or sneak onto our ships. And that's cool, because if you have 20 people doing this dumb thing over here and somebody sneaks onto one of your ships, it's so cool to see those 20 people all change direction and go after this guy. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, like, yeah, the charity events, I would like the private server idea, but as far as the open events that we do, I kind of like the anticipation and anxiety of like, it could go wrong at any moment. Like, they could come for us at any moment, and I enjoy that. Maybe I'm just too much of a DayZ player where it can all go south instantly, and I enjoy that, you know.
Yeah, no, that random element can be a ton of fun for sure. I'm with you on that.
It can be.
So with that said, I will say, because you mentioned the Valk that blew up on the first attempt to get people down to the island. I was not on that Valk because the griefers got me as I was trying to get to the rendezvous point. I was on my way from Microtech heading toward what was it, Hurl 2, I think we were meeting at.
Yeah.
And it was in my just stock MSR, and right as I'm approaching the station, I'm getting shot down, and did not last very long. And at first I was so pissed, right? Like, fuck.
Yeah.
But on my second attempt, when I came back in a Cuddy Blue, and when I made it successfully into my hangar aboard the station, it's like, yes, it was like such a feeling of accomplishment. Like there was that adrenaline rush.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? So like the fact that being able, like I've seen a lot of people complain about the griefers, and even what we do, we do quite a bit of piracy gameplay and PvP gameplay. Without that risk, you might as well just be playing Tetris single player. Like there's nothing fighting back against you, trying to stop you from doing what you're doing. Like you need those. I feel like you really need that, you know. At least I need that. I enjoy that. But that's the thing, that feeling you get when you make it through like a screen of fighters that want you dead, and you make it through and you land and everything's all good. That's so much more enjoyable than just coming in and casually landing and going about your business, you know.
Yeah, having to work for it a little bit.
Yeah, that's the game.
You know, there's always the discussion going on in the community, especially it feels like as the player base has really sort of boomed within the past year or two, you know, PvE versus PvP. And I don't shy away from PvP. Even in ship combat, I'm not good at it, but I'm always willing to partake in it. I'm always excited for the opportunity to engage with another player and have an in-game experience together, win, lose, or draw. So yeah, I'm with you on wanting that sort of open element of, oh, somebody else could show up and really make things interesting here.
Well, and what it does too is it forces you to play and think a little more dynamically, where like, okay, you want to run cargo, maybe you need a couple buddies and fighters, you know, maybe a C2 shouldn't be out in this dangerous space alone anyway, you know what I mean? Like, so and it kind of, I think the game as time goes on will kind of evolve like that, you know, like, I don't know. It's just wishful thinking, I guess. But even like our event, like we never used security before. And then like a couple times, like we had to bring a couple guys for security. And next thing you know, like all of a sudden we have 33 people on the security team, and we have a whole fleet of fighters and fully crewed Redeemer. And it's like, but it does make it harder to run the events and plan the events, and it makes it way more minutia to get lost in. So, but at the same time, it went from a 25-person event to a 60-person event just for the sake of, you know, trying to have security on hand. So it's more gameplay for everybody, I guess, you know. And at the end, we want to, I don't know about you guys, but I want to play an MMO, you know, like I want the multiplayer aspects big time, you know. Even if that means I got to blow up a few times and lose some gear, I'm cool with it. It happens, you know.
Yeah, right there with you.
Yeah,
that's one of the things we've had to on the podcast. It's come up several times now that people in the comments sometimes get upset when we use the word griefer, and think that we don't want that, PvP interaction. I think a lot of it came from when we were talking about distribution centers, like are people going to be griefing the distribution centers? But there's definitely a fine line there between griefing and piracy and quote unquote terrorism in the game. So yeah, this just for anybody listening that, might think that we don't support PvP or pirates or anything. That's not the case, because,
you have us on, and we do it every night. So
yeah, we Stubb and I even have alternate accounts to specifically do bad boy stuff on.
Cool.
So it's not like, we're against griefers or whatever you want to call that sort of gameplay, but that's just a term that's easy to use for people that are opposing your gameplay.
Yeah. It's a term of convenience, really, to say griefer. Like,
yeah,
I did an experiment a few months ago on our YouTube, and we got attacked by a random guy, and I was like, whatever, it's a cool little, few minute video. And I thought of it, and I was like, I'm going to call this guy a griefer and see what people do on YouTube. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call this video Griefer Karma. And I posted it, and the comment section blew up. It got thousands of views. And in the description, it says, I don't think this guy is a griefer. This is an experiment, with a thumbnail and a title. Thank you for participating. And then people are just saying, this guy's not a griefer. I didn't see any griefer, this and that. And I just, every single one of them, I said, read the description, read the description, read the description,
Yeah.
It's so hard to read sometimes.
But but it's one of those things where it is like a buzzword, griefing. To me, I think it's something that's hard to define. I think it does exist, but I do think it's hard to define what a griefer is. Yeah. I think if you're trying to engage in gameplay with me, that is not griefing. PvP is not griefing. Piracy isn't griefing. I think what griefing is if all you're trying to do is waste somebody's time and make the, like, to me, it's all about time. I'm 40 years old. I got kids. I work a lot. I don't have a lot of time to play. Yeah. If I spend all night setting up to do something just for you to bomb it so you can go giggle with your friends, I'm calling you a griefer. I don't care if that's the real definition or not. Yeah. You fucking griefed me, asshole, Yeah, but that's just how I feel about it, But at the end of the day, too, like I was saying about this event, I think what those guys did, they even called themselves GrieferNet, Like, I don't know if they were or not, whatever. People call themselves different things. But I think what they did was kind of awesome. I'm glad they had a good time. I'm glad the people that came had a good time. I'm glad that we could raise the money we wanted to raise, and everybody's happy. So who cares,
Yeah, the fact that they donated tells me that they really were showing up for pirate gameplay, and not so much to just prevent the event in totality, but to add that extra element of danger to it.
Yeah, you know what they are? They're I feel like what the griefer groups really are is they're just they're edgy role players is what they are. Yeah, like technically, they're edgy role players. They sneak into your Discord under fake names, and they have like these secret channels where they send messages back and forth, and they're like, "Oh, I heard they're going to have this many security members. Oh yeah, well I heard it's going to be at this location," and like they're role players is what they are, But they just don't. They don't want to seem like nerdy role players. They want to seem like cool, tough role players. So they do this, I get it. It's all good, guys. You're welcome to attack us anytime. We'll fight back. We'll do our best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think on a technical sense, right? Like technical griefing, I guess, is like pad ramming, right? Not adding gameplay, but trying to break your gameplay.
Exactly. Yeah. Just trying to ruin your time, at any cost, Yeah. Mm-hmm. And the thing with pad ramming is too. So if somebody flies out of a hangar and I start shooting at them, I'm shooting at them because I enjoy ship combat, right? But if I ram you, I'm not trying to engage in any gameplay with that. I'm just trying to end your fun. Quickest way. It doesn't matter if I have fun doing it or not. I'm just trying to end your fun. So that's kind of like the way I look at it. And again, like you were saying, I just use griefer as a term of convenience. I don't care what you call yourself. Call yourself anything.
I think people should be. Folks, remember your English class back in school. Context clues, right? You can figure out what sort of griefing we're talking about based on the context.
Yeah. And I've had people call me a griefer because I might something we do for fun when we get bored. Some people watching this might get mad at us for this. We do bounty hunter baiting. All that means is we raise our crime stats as high as possible. We get 5 or 6 guys with railguns, and we go hide somewhere. And we've had the most fun. Like we're having
I've
a
had the best
blast.
time doing that.
Yeah, we have shot 25 bounty hunters out of the sky before in a night, and it's so much fun.
That
And
does
somebody
sound
might
fun.
say, "It is so, man. You got to come sometime. It's so much fun." Yeah, I mean, and if you ever want to see the videos, check out our YouTube. We have so many videos of us baiting bounty hunters; they're hilarious. But
Yeah.
some people that maybe say you only do mining or something, you might say that's kind of griefing and stuff like that. Because to get our crime stat up, we might just attack you randomly, just to get our crime stat up or something. Somebody might call that griefing, you know. So I think like most things, there is a spectrum, you know. Yeah, I mean, as long as you're not like doxing people or like threatening people or things like that, then you really should be able to do whatever you want, you know. I may not like it if somebody tries to ruin my event and then come back and ruin it again and ruin it again, ruin it again. But like, what am I going to do? It's the sandbox I want to play in, you know.
Should have hired more security.
Yeah, we'll fight back. Like I said,
Right.
we'll fight back. We'll do our best.
Oh
I
my
don't care,
God.
you know.
Yeah, one of the people in my chat during the stream of that event gave a shout out to, I believe it was Hellhound Security. Are you
Yeah,
guys?
that's our guy. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So remember, for your security needs, reach out to Hellhound Security. So
Yeah, they're
to
cool.
know.
So their owner is actually a Discord mod for us. Yeah, he's always been a friend and he's been super active in our Discord. And I was like, you know, you would make a good moderator for us. And then he started doing that. Then they started doing the security group thing. And I was like, hey, why don't we just use you guys to come hang and you do your thing? We did have help from some other groups. There was a few members of Avenger Squadron there hanging out. There was a
interesting.
few members from let me get their name right. Was it Auric, right, Urs? It was these events.
I know
especially ones
Huxley
like
crew
this-
was there for sure, right?
Yeah, Huxley Group, a few guys from Huxley Group. But so these events are like a lot of people will come together to make them happen. So that's what I enjoy about it. You know, it doesn't really matter like what group you're with or what title, or a bunch of friends get together to try and have a fun, unique experience. You know, and I think it's good for the game in general because like we're showing people what's possible and what you can do in an MMO if you get people together and all on the same page. And yeah, it takes a lot of planning and a lot of work and you have to deal with nonsense. But I think what we do is better for the health of the game and the community than what these quote griefers do, which is just try and ruin people's good time. You know what I mean? So I can hold my head up high and say we're doing something good for the community, positive to help development and everything kind of continue on, you know.
Yeah, it's for a great cause, and it adds just a new way to play the game. Like for myself personally, on the previous day I had a pretty rough play session with Star Citizen, just performance wise and glitches and bugs, and just got frustrated. I rage quit. I actually rage quit and put myself on a little Star Citizen cooldown. But I knew that the next day that event was going on, and it was just so refreshing to play the game in a completely different way. And again, I think that speaks to the good work that you guys are doing with For Science. It speaks to what's possible in the sandbox element of Star Citizen, and it shines a pretty good light on the Star Citizen community in general too, because a lot of people turned out for it.
I'll tell you what, even people that joined the event and got out really quick, like say I don't forget who was out first, but somebody that might have been like even the guys that got out early and didn't get the most the largest amount of actual gameplay on the island still had fun, and they still said they'll come back to the next one because the hanging out with each other and enjoying the game together is the fun part to me. I've always said everything we do, I try to put it every time we announce an event. I say this is a social event. We just happen to be playing Star Citizen at the same time, you know. So even if the game bugs out, like some of our most fun I've had with Ursus is when the game is kicking us in the ass all night and we'll be dying laughing and like we're having such a good time. I'm like, this is terrible. Why are we having so much fun? Like so that's why
it was a good example actually.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
With the Cuddy Steel.
Oh yeah, exactly. Last night with the Cuddy Steel, it's the perfect example. So that's kind of shows, having a good group with you or being with the right group of people playing, it kind of doesn't really matter what you're doing, you know?
I think I saw a clip of that. Was it you guys had guys on the guns in the doors, just like doing
That's
bounties or
correct,
something. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's-
Yeah, it's fun.
Cool. I'm
For some
definitely gonna
reason,
have to.
I couldn't see our friend, and I was shooting, and then I just see on my face, and then all of a sudden I just go on the ground, and
Oh,
I'm
no.
like, I'm dying, and then I fall. I see myself going on the ground, I'm like, I'm gonna die. And
Yeah, and we end up laughing and stuff. And like the clip I posted a few days ago of you fighting the dog, it's goofy shit like that makes us laugh. So either we're having a really epic gameplay night and it's really intense and like we're really enjoying it, or it all goes to hell and we have even more fun. So that's where I think For Science sits, in that spot. And a lot of groups are kind of like that, but I never joined one, so that's kind of that's why we tried to build this group.
That's awesome because like we've been talking about, it gets kind of monotonous. Just go doing another bunker. We're going to do another bounty. We're going to do another delivery, or it gets Star Citizen can get very repetitive, even with the new distribution center missions and stuff. It's still like the same thing, just a little spiced up, different place to be. But yeah, the most fun I've ever had in Star Citizen are those things you're just going out and doing with other people, rather than doing the missions or doing even if you're out salvaging or whatever, you're going through the motions and you're just trying to make money for buy another ship.
Yeah.
So
you buy another ship to do the same gameplay loop that you did to buy the ship. And a lot of people quit the game too. Like I've seen in the 4 or 5 years I've been playing, and just through running the Discord, I've seen so many people come and go and say, I'm new, and they're so into it for a month and then they quit the game altogether. And that's kind of like, not everybody, but a lot of people get to that place when they're just doing the missions or just playing solo or just, not looking at it like a creative sandbox, which is what I love about it,
that's the problem Stubb and I run into is, most of the time when we're playing, it's just us and might have a third, very rarely. But with 2 to 3 people, there's only so many things you can do. Like you can bait bounty hunters, but more than likely with 2 people that, we're not.
3 is the minimum. So if you want to bait bounty hunters, 3 is the minimum, because so if all 3 of you have bounties, the player will take 1 bounty. He won't take all 3 of them. He'll take 1. So when he comes and he's focusing on the 1, the other 2 are shooting him. Right. So, but then if he takes that bounty, you still have 2 people shooting him with railguns. So no matter who he or 2 people will be hitting him with railguns. We've dropped pretty much every ship in game that way. We've shot Corsairs out of the sky. We've shot Redeemers out of the sky. We've shot. It got to a point where I made a video called "The Best Ship in Star Citizen is a Railgun," because a few guys with railguns and you can be unstoppable. It's amazing. Yeah.
There was actually one night where Cuddly and I were at Jumptown, and we took a reclaimer out with just 2 railgun hits.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's amazing.
It's
amazing.
It was awesome to see.
Yeah, because we'll have to start teaming up with you guys some, because like I just said, it's hard to do some things like that with only two to 3 people. So having those couple extra hands can definitely expand the things that are possible to do within the game.
Yeah, and for me, it's always been, it's always been about having fun and making friends. Our tag, one of our many tags, we have a lot of tags. Fuck around and find out is one of them. The other one is for fun, for friends, for science. So we want to make friends, we want to have fun, and that's it. At the end of the day, this is a video game that we're playing to have fun and make friends,
Absolutely.
So anybody that takes it too seriously, I'm not interested. Don't bother me with taking this video game seriously, because life is too short to take video games seriously.
Yeah.
Very true. So before we head out and bring this podcast to a close, do you guys have time to talk a little 323? How are we doing on time?
Yeah, we're good. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. So for anyone watching that hasn't been in Star Citizen lately, 323 hit, and more recently we're currently on the 323.1 patch. How is the build of the game itself feeling for you guys right now?
Iris, you want to go?
It's a loaded gun.
Should I go or should you go?
He's setting you up.
Honestly, for me, it's been pretty smooth. aside from the storage issues, which have really that kind of like put a damper with everything for me, especially because of the event. But other than that, it's been good for me, I'd say. I'm sure Bonds has had a quite a different experience though.
Yeah, I think the build in general is pretty good. Like the quality of it. I think
Yeah.
it's a beautiful patch. As far as how this patch looks I mean, it's amazing looking, Um and it's weird. It's so server based, it feels like, because people ask about performance and like I can't really tell you. I might have 150 FPS one night, another night I might have 30. I can't really tell you about that. It's so instance based, it feels like to me. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cool things in the new patch, and it's really cool to see the things that I've been waiting for animals for years now. Like I
Yeah.
said in the beginning of the podcast, I started playing right before Microtech came out, and that's the reason I started playing, because Microtech looked so cool. Somewhere in that time, they showed some artist renditions of a Yeti, and I remember thinking like that'd be so cool to have an animal in this game, And then here we are, we have 2 animals already, and they're talking about the third one coming. So it is cool to see some of the things start to actually happen.
Yetis soon, TM.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, as soon as we could tame them, man, that's it. I'm in. But like everything Star Citizen, generally speak, I find it hard to understand what they're doing. Like, what's the general direction? Because I like more of a hardcore gameplay loop. I like more of a gritty type feel. And it feels like with this particular patch, they're leaning towards more of a mass appeal game. Like they're starting. Some people will say things like, "Oh, they're going towards a console build for Xboxes and whatever." And well, I don't see how this game could ever run on a console for the next however many years. But um, I can see what they mean, right? Like, there's a lot of things about the new patch I'm not a fan of. Like, I don't like the mini map. I don't want a mini map. A mini map to me feels like a game from 2001, and I don't need it. I don't want it, and it just annoys me. If I'm trying to PvP a lot, I got to be able to see everything on my screen. I don't have a 32-inch screen, so you can cover up a 10% of it with your map. I want to be able to see everything. If they gave me an option to toggle it off, which I know is coming, it would be good. Things like that. Also, not the biggest fan of master modes. I know some people aren't. I think the old flight model was more. Don't kill me. I think the old flight model was more fun. I have taken little random polls on Twitter asking people if they like master modes or not, and overwhelmingly on Twitter, everybody loves master modes. But then when you start to investigate a little bit, you find out that these are all people that mostly do cargo gameplay, PvE gameplay, and things like that. So this type of game player, of course, it's more fun. You have more buttons to press. You have more systems to play with, and more little details, which for you is fun. But for me, that's more into PvP and combat, where I spent a lot of time dogfighting in the old build. I haven't spent a second of it in this new build because I don't have the time to sit down and practice all this stuff all over again. But I feel like the old build was better because you did have jousters, but there was ways to fight a jouster, like it wasn't like if somebody started jousting you, oh no, there's nothing I could do. You could have easily jumped away. I've had several instances in the new patch where I was just stuck. I was either putting up my shields so I can drop decoys and I die slowly, or I drop my shields and race for the edge of atmosphere and die fast. Certain situations like that, you don't have an option. And I like the smoothness of being able to just go, we're fighting. I'm jumping away now. Or one of the things I always bring up, like if my buddy's getting attacked and I'm flying in, okay, yeah, it's not the most tactical thing to come in super fast with guns blazing and whatever, but I still want the option to do that. It's fun. I come flying in full speed, guns blazing. I'm not hitting any shots, but it's fun, and then we come in and we fight it out. Those kind of things are kind of gone for now with master modes, where master modes is still early. I get all that. And, hopefully they work a lot of this stuff out. But generally speaking, I feel like flying is less fun generally than it was. And I one of the ways I gauge this was last patch, if we were going to do something with a group of 10 guys, everybody would fight over who got to fly. It'd be like, I'm going to fly, get in my ship, or somebody else goes, I'm flying, get in my ship. This patch, we go, all right, we got to go over there. Everybody's like, no, I'm not flying. No, me neither. We fight over who has to fly now.
That's always been me though.
That's
I
yeah.
never,
Yeah.
I never want to fly. I'm a terrible pilot. I'll admit it.
I'm speaking in broad generalities, but I kind of have to, to like talk about this stuff. I don't really have the time to get down into the super details like a lot of people do on YouTube and stuff. The guys that spend hours and hours like analyzing the mechanics and all this different thing and development and all that. But for me, as the owner of the Ultimate Casual org, I have less fun flying in the new patch, but I'm along for the ride no matter what they do. I mean, I'm very invested, not even just financially. I'm invested in the game. I'm invested in the community. I've made some of my best friends here. So wherever they decide to take it, I'm coming, I'm along for the ride, and hopefully they listen to some of the community, and it'll all get worked out in the end. That's the way I look at it. Development. That's how development goes,
Yeah.
And Urs, your thoughts on master modes?
I'd say the same thing about where quantuming and like traveling anywhere is not fun. It's not the greatest. I've tried doing like combat with it, and I relatively like that. Like, I think it's decent, but I think they could work something out. I hope it gets they work it more. They work on it more so it gets better.
Right.
Yeah. It's a little clunky.
Yeah, it is right now. But other than that, I'm yeah.
to me, the idea of going, I need to escape, let me drop my shields makes no sense.
Yeah,
I don't
that
get that.
kind of like
Okay.
traveling.
I'm getting my ass kicked. I'm going to drop my shields now and try and get out of here. Like, what?
Exactly.
Who? Come on, get out of here. That's a silly idea.
Yeah, I can maybe see having to power down weapons to like give your engines an
Sure.
extra boost of power, but
Exactly,
your shields, your defenses, like
Yeah.
I'm with you on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah,
lot
that
of
doesn't make sense to me.
measures too. Yeah.
A lot of people forget they have that new quantum boost coming in too, though. So that
Yeah.
we're
That's
not
true.
exactly sure how that's going to play out yet. So I'm hoping, some of those things that we're concerned about, that might kind of alleviate it a little bit.
Yeah. I am worried generally about the direction, because when they add things like a mini map, they make the combat less, I guess I don't want to say less dynamic. I don't know what the word is, the ship to ship combat. But they add scope, glint, mini maps, and all these things.
Yeah, they're trying to make it more for the what's
The
it?
casual. Yeah. like-
Normies. Casual.
yeah. But I look at it like, and I do say we are casual players, but at the end of the day, like so where the game is now, it was built on the people that are hardcore into the game. Like, you know what I mean? So
I think I think what you mean is casual, as in like people who play like Call of Duty, Fortnite, shit like that, right?
yeah, like a casual
Like-
gamer. Yeah. Like
yeah.
a pick up and play type game, where I don't
Yeah.
want it to be a pick up and play type game. I want it to be something like, if you want to get into this, you got to invest your time. Of course,
Yeah.
I'm a nobody. It doesn't matter what I want, but, I feel like as a
This
consumer,
game does have a large curve though, like learning curve.
it does, yeah. But you can see where the arc is kind of going when they add several things. It's I don't know. Like I said, I'm along for the ride. We'll see where it goes.
Back
You
to,
touch. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, back to your point where you were saying that some people are saying they're tuning it for consoles. A lot of the the action wheel where you pull it up and you have the little thing you can scroll around, that's very console-y, and more of the menus working for what would be consoles. But I think a lot of people forget that Chris Roberts, the dude leading all of this, plays with a controller.
Yeah.
So a lot of
I did
those
not know that.
a lot of those menus and stuff, I feel like, maybe Squadron 42 comes out on console. I don't know. Who knows what they're doing in development, but as far as like, stuff looking like it's meant for console, I think that's part of them just trying to be able to include more like user inputs, like controllers and joysticks and, everything in between.
Yeah, it all makes sense. It does make sense. And I understand at the end of the day, it's a business, right?
Yeah.
It's not just something they're doing for our, like, it's not an art project they're doing for us, you know, it is a business. So I get it, where the more people you can turn on to the game, and that's kind of what ForScience has always done too. Like, we're trying to get people to like turn on to the game and not quit so quickly and not give up on themselves. Like, you got to put the time in to enjoy it. So I get that more people coming on board and the game having more generalized appeal is good for everything, you know? But yeah, I still feel like the game is still so early on. There's still so many things that before 1.0 is even a thought in any of our heads, you know? So we have still a long road before we have to even worry about what the game is actually still going to be, you know? At least that's how I feel. And from the time that I started, which really wasn't that long ago, 2019, I feel like in one way, I feel like the game has changed so much, but kind of not really in other ways. So, yeah, I mean, they know what they're doing, you know? They've gotten us to this point, and they've built something so unique and original that no other game has ever attempted or even come close to pulling off. So somebody over there has to know what's going on, what they're doing, right? That's what I err on the side of that, I guess.
I will say this is one of the best free fly events I've been a part of. I mean, you know, generally, you know, you don't have to talk about 318, but you know, free fly events and stuff are typically pretty bad experience for, you know, veterans and new players alike. But
I didn't even notice
fire normally.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice like a performance. Like, yeah, typically when free flight's going on, like a lot of people I know will just take a break for that period of time, you know. But I didn't notice any difference with this. We were talking about it too, because we scheduled the survival event the day after the free flight started, and we didn't even think about it because we planned it so many months ahead, and we're like, oh no, it's free flight when we plan this event. But I didn't notice anything. So yeah, there's a lot of things that are just coming around so much better, like performance too, like the fact, like the upscaling and the new renderers and all these things. Like, so I feel like yeah, of course there's some things that I'm not going to be happy about no matter what with a game this vast and that so many people are this invested in. You're not going to be super stoked on every little single thing about it, you know what I mean?
yeah.
But I still think hands down it's the coolest, most unique original game ever attempted yet, regardless, you know what I mean? So I'm fully on board.
That's kind of like we're talking about bastard modes and not liking it, little things about it, but you know, like you said, just kind of along for the ride, you know. CIG is going to CIG, and all we can do is play the game.
I'll tell you what I dislike is, especially on Twitter. I mean, we all know Spectrum is a dumpster fire, but on Twitter too, where like, even in YouTube comments, it doesn't matter where, probably in the comment section of this podcast, you can't really have an opinion. Like, people will get mad at you if you have a differing opinion. Like, people will argue with me or say, you're an idiot, or you don't know what you're talking about. Like I haven't spent 10,000 hours in the game like everybody else, you know? Like, you don't know anything. Like, oh, okay. Just because I don't know like the literal details of whatever, I know how my gameplay experience feels. And that's another win for ForScience, if you ask me. There's probably 4 or 5 guys that are the main dudes that run the whole thing, and not one of us agrees on pretty much anything with the gameplay and the development and the future. And we are all still the best of friends, which is really cool. Like, we can talk all night and just disagree the entire time. Nobody gets mad. Nobody yells. Nobody calls the other one stupid. Well, we might, but we don't need to. Yeah. So that's kind of, you know, that's the way I look at it. You know, even if we're arguing about the development and I think you're completely wrong, it's still a damn video game, you know?
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you know, this game brings in a lot of different player types from a lot of different backgrounds and interests. I think you even expressed that yourself, Bonsai, saying that you're not typically a sci-fi fan, yet here you are, right? So there's some real magic to Star Citizen, even still in its alpha state.
Yeah, absolutely. And then like, yeah, even now, like all my wallpapers are all RSI Perseus, and you know, all of a sudden now I'm trying to build a hammerhead out of Legos with my son and stuff like that. So yeah, this game has definitely turned me on to sci-fi, which is funny because when you run a group like ForScience, almost everybody is a real sci-fi junkie. And then people ask questions about Star Trek or Star Wars or different random sci-fi movies. I'm like, I don't know, man. I just play Star Citizen. You know, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody. But you know,
Got to get you caught up.
yeah. I don't got the time, man. That's the hardest part is being an older dad. I don't have the time.
Yeah.
It's rough. Finding time just to play has been hard, which is why I'm so lucky I met guys like Ursus and our other management members like Dodgy and Cuddly and these dudes that are just super cool. They play the game the way I play, and they get when I try to explain for science to somebody and they get it right away, I know they're thinking the same way I am. So it's cool to have these other guys around to kind of keep it alive, you know, even if I can't be on all day long like a lot of people are, you know.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys for taking the time to be on CommLink here with us for our 25th episode. This was really cool. I hope we can do it again someday.
Congratulations on 25 episodes too. Yeah. That's awesome, guys.
Thank you.
Maybe you'll have us back before 50.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll definitely be joining you guys for some gameplay because, you know, I've always wanted to, you know, we've even mentioned that going and killing people with rail guns and baiting them. But
it's so much fun.
Like I said, it's just the two of us. So
yeah,
we need some more friends. So
I will tell you this, and I'm not afraid of saying it on the podcast. A lot of our events now, we're not going to announce them like normal. So a lot of our events, not all of them, but some of them, we're just going to send out invites, and we're not going to be like, we're having an event on this day, this and that. It's going to be, not private and secret, but, you know, under the table type thing. So if we do something coming up soon with like railguns and all that stuff, I'll definitely let you guys know. But generally speaking, if you see us in our Discord or you see us online, join us, come play, come hang out. Like we're always chilling and just, it's always casual. We're never like, you know, doing anything too crazy where you can't just hop in and come play.
That's one thing I wanted to ask you guys before we let you go here. Is there any upcoming, like, are you planning another charity event or another event with bigger people joining or anything like that you want to talk about?
Yeah, we have another charity coming up. What do you think, Urs? I was thinking like probably end of summer, around Christmas time, maybe. I don't know as far as timing.
I think we definitely don't want to do it like right in the summer, or maybe we do. I don't know. But I'd say we give our team a little rest from
a little bit of a break.
Event. Yeah. I'm thinking around Christmas time.
Okay.
We want to do. I want to do St. Jude's Hospital this time. A lot of people raise money for them. So, I mean, we'll see when we get closer, but something Children's Hospital, some along those lines would probably be the charity next time. Also, the next event isn't going to be location based. So griefers aren't going to be a thing for this one. They could try and fly around and find us, but deep space is huge. Good luck. If you have years of your life to just fly around aimlessly and try and find the random spot where we are, you could be my guest, you know?
All right.
So it sounds like the next charity event, we might have 4.0. We might be playing that event in 4.0, which is kind of
Imagine
exciting.
that. We might be in Pyro for that.
Pyro for Christmas.
Yeah.
Heard it here.
All right. So as we wrap this up, if you would remind people where they can find you guys on social media, where they can find the For Science content.
Sure. We are For Science everywhere. At ForScienceSC, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, all the same. If you come to the YouTube, we do stream sometimes, but it's mostly edited content. And then Ursus here runs our Twitch. If you want to hang out and game with him, he's over there. And reach out to us, Ursus Tactical on Twitter and ForScienceSC on Twitter. And check us out. We have Discord links everywhere. Come play, come hang out, watch your videos. We're super welcoming and casual. Come hang. No worries.
Fantastic. And before we get to the CommLink plugs, I just want to mention one more time that in the description on the YouTube video and also for the Spotify episode, we will have the Tiltify link for the fundraiser for the Best Friends Animal Society. Again, how long is that going to stay open?
So we're thinking till the end of the month, I believe. So it's not much, or maybe let me double check it. Because
it kind of depends, because there's a few creators out there that are making some videos and stuff around the event. So we were trying to leave it out there just because they want to post links in their videos. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. If people stop donating, we'll take it down. We're kind of there.
Beautiful. Okay. Well, like I said, it's currently at $1,821. At the very least, I'm putting a call to action. Let's at least try to hit $2,000 and double the goal. That would be amazing.
That would be sick. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
It is
Thank
a
you,
worthy
guys.
cause indeed. Save the puppies and the cats.
Exactly.
And they do large animals as well, right? They
They
Horses,
do,
do.
yes. Horses,
Yeah.
all the big boys.
It's the world's largest no-kill shelter. So I mean, they could use every penny, I'm sure. And $2,000 buys a lot of dog food and cat food. You know.
Absolutely.
Great.
All right, well, thank you guys again. Shout out to Bonds to Earth, For Science in general. Thank you for that amazing event last weekend, and for doing it for such a phenomenal cause. Thanks for letting me partake in it, and for sure, like we're gonna want to play with you guys and join in some
Cool.
more events. So really
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
forward to that.
Yeah, thank
You know
guys
where to
for having
find us. Reach out anytime.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. And everybody watching or listening along, thank you so much for tuning in for our 25th anniversary, 25th episode. We've not been doing it that long of the CommLink Podcast. Don't forget that the CommLink Podcast releases a new episode nearly every week featuring discussions about Star Citizen and Squadron 42. The CommLink Podcast can be found on both YouTube and Spotify. In addition to the podcast, be sure to also check out our Star Citizen and Squadron 42 reaction videos on our YouTube channel. You can follow CommLink on Twitter and Instagram. The username for both platforms is @CommLinkPod. We're currently running a giveaway for a Drake Cutter Rambler with LTI, so check out our Twitter page for more details pinned at the top.
We really want to
And
give it away.
We're
Really
getting
do.
close. We're getting close. As soon as we hit 100 followers on Twitter, that thing is going to be randomly given away to somebody. So if you want in, check out our Twitter page @CommLinkPod. We also do the CommLink Alert as well, where major articles published by Cloud Imperium Games are read aloud for those who would rather hear it than read it. So if you're a multitasker and you want to listen along to the latest roadmap roundup or letter from the chairman or a ship Q&A while you're on the drive or you're at work, or maybe you're even playing Star Citizen, doing some salvaging or mining, we've got those CommLink alerts available for you as well. So with all that said, if you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to like and subscribe on YouTube for more. And if you're listening over on Spotify, hit that follow button so you get notifications for when new episodes are pushed out for you. Until next time, thanks everyone for tuning in. Stay safe and be well.
Like and subscribe to these guys too. Their links will be in the description. Thanks again, guys. We really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.